Good evening, everybody. We're back. It is the Steps Headed Podcast. We're live on Thursday nights, and I'm here. I'm excited. I'm ready. Listen, I want to thank you all so much for being a part of this journey with me. Thank you for jumping in here and hanging out with your boy on Thursday nights. My name is Stephen B, and I am the host of the Steps Headed Podcast. Steps Headed is the space on the internet and on the streaming services where you get to ask me questions and you get to hear what I think, excuse me, about various topics. Yeah, I promise I'm gonna figure out what this coffee is. It only happens to this degree when I get on the show. So hey, we'll see what that is. So I do want to once again thank you all for joining me here on tonight. I am excited about the show that we have for you. We've got a very intriguing letter. And so just bear with me here one moment while I finish pulling a few things in place, getting this thing set up. Because I want you all to be able to see the show, enjoy the show, love the show, do what we do. One thing that I do want to go ahead and encourage you all to do is if there is a topic or a segment that you would like to see me do, excuse me, please feel free to reach out to me on the website www.stepsedit.com, or you can shoot me an email at stepsedit@gmail.com. Now we're going to introduce something really special tonight. I'm waiting on this to get loaded up so I can show it to you. We're introducing something very special tonight. We are opening the phone lines. That's right. You can actually call into the show, talk to me live. But now, before y'all do that, let me establish some ground rules. Okay. Understand this is my show. And I'm not saying you have to agree with what I say. I'm not saying you can't have your own opinion. What I am saying is, I'm not going to get on my platform and argue with anybody because the same button that I use to answer the phone, bro, I'm telling you, that hang up button is smooth and it works. But we're not going to have to do that tonight because I have some amazing listeners. I have some amazing supporters, or as I love to call them, partners. And so we are all going to enjoy what we do here on tonight. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our letter on tonight. And here we go. Our letter for tonight. Dear Steps Edit Podcast, hi, and thank you for taking my topic. So many people make and base decisions out of consideration for another person. So many times we miss out by most times unintentionally settling. I have always wanted to move away from my hometown in the South and to go north to a northern state. Other than what is the norm or maybe fear, I have stayed for a couple of other reasons, whether it be to be close to my parents or hoped to have mental, emotional, and maybe some physical help with and in raising my children as they got older. Nevertheless, I am the only dependable sibling nearby and is relied upon by others because I am near my parents. Moving for me revolves around things of importance to me, such as a better work opportunity, a push to stay career driven, a higher financial stability, a better chance at being found by true love, and a fair and possibly better opportunity for my young children in education, socially, etc., via the statistics and research. I understand that in moving out of the state, it could go good or bad or both, and considered this, having considered this, I'm sorry, I still have the heart to step out. I am a single mother of three with minimum help and support for me. So I see no in depth reason to stay put and continue to not benefit. My dilemma is, am I being selfish for considering my parents versus am I blocking and keeping myself from expanding and growing and possibly reaching my full potential by not going? How can I continue to be present without physically feeling I have to be present? And is this even possible? Sincerely, a podcast listener. Wow, this is a good letter, great topic. Thank you so much for entrusting me with the the wonderful task of talking to you about it. So, with that being said, let's talk about it. So, I understand making decisions based on family dynamics because I too have made those same decisions. I understand. Um, not branching out, not moving forward, not moving on into a space and place. I get it. And sometimes in making those decisions, if we are not careful, we can become angry, or we can become bitter, or we can become frustrated. Um, you mentioned in your letter that you are from a southern state. Well, I am from the good old state of Mississippi. And one of the hard parts about being in Mississippi, and I'm going to address your letter, but part of me addressing your letter is to kind of explain my own truth, if you will allow. So, one of the things about being in Mississippi is a lot of times, because of where we fall in statistics, and because of where we fall in rankings, and because of where we fall in socioeconomical conversations, a lot of times it is believed that if you want to be a success, you will make it will be difficult. I'll say that it will be difficult to be successful in Mississippi. On one hand, I can agree, on one hand, I can disagree. Um I am I am a parent. I am a divorcee, and for me, having had opportunities to come up, to leave, one of the biggest things that I considered in whether to pursue said opportunity or look into said opportunity was, I was looking at, one, the age or the ages of my children, and then two, I was looking at, um, being, much to how your letter states, being in place for my, at at that time, mother and father. Now my mother, because dad is in that great cloud of witnesses. Um, and I've had to make those decisions, and I made the decision to stay. But this is the other reason why I wanted to stay. And this was a choice that I made. I stayed because I feel like I can actually make it here with the things that I have, the resources that I have, the tools that I have, with the skill set that I have. I believe I can make it here. It's not going to be an easy road, but I believe I can make it here. It's not going to be a easy process. It's not going to be an overnight success, but I believe I can make it here. I want to be a success story. I want to be a Mississippi success story in Mississippi. But I understand that's not everybody's position, and that's not everybody's desire, and that's not everybody's situation. And so, one of the first things that I would say to you, is, and understand, even though this is, how do I put this? This is a I am a Christian. Okay, I love God. I believe in God. I serve God. I praise God. All of the above. But I don't want this to necessarily be branded as a Christian podcast. Although, in most cases, my ideas and my conversations will come from a Christian perspective. So, non Christians are more than welcome to chime in. They're able to call in, they're able to come in and be a part of the show. You are welcome. With that being said, the Bible says in the book of Proverbs, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and don't lean to your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Um, so I'm leading in with that to say, first off, you need to pray about it. You know, have you taken the time to say, okay, Lord, what is your will for my life? Lord, what would you have for me to do? Where would you have me to go? And sometimes we will use family, we will use careers, we will use all of those things, because when we get into a space, sometimes we get comfortable. And when you get comfortable, you get complacent. And then I hear all the times, especially when it comes to talking about occupation, I hear people say the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And so a lot of times, because of a fear of moving on, or a fear of stretching out, or a fear of branching out, or a fear of doing something different, or a fear of doing something that is outside of your norm, then we kind of fall back into a space of maybe I should just stay here. And we will find every excuse to stay when the push is to leave. Now, I know that may sound contradictory to what I just said, but I have, in fact, prayed through my situation. And I feel like with where I am in my life at this stage and at this phase, I am supposed to, according to the way I feel like the Lord has shared with me, I feel like I'm supposed to stay in Mississippi. Once again, I understand that that's not everybody's story. And so, oh, wait, hold on. I got so caught up in what I was saying. Let me get back big on the screen. Okay. I just happened to look up and see that I was small and the story was big. But now y'all could had a chance to read it over for yourselves. And so but yeah, as I was saying, that may not be your story, or that may not be your situation. It could very well be because it's pressing on you so strongly that you could be feeling a sense or a tug or a push to go to another arena, go to another space, to pursue other opportunities. I completely understand wanting your children to be in a different environment. I completely understand wanting to pursue what other opportunities may be available for you in other markets. I completely understand wanting to maybe go and find, if that love interest may not be in the state where you are, then, you know, hey, it's hard to be found by him in California if you are in Alabama. I understand. Um, but I wouldn't say move for love. I would say let finding love be an added bonus. The other thing that I would encourage you to do though is to make sure you're not running from something in Mississippi. I mean, or not. I'm saying Mississippi because I'm from Mississippi. I don't know where you're from. I'm sorry. Wherever you're from, don't run from that. Um, don't use the excuse of I want to pursue other avenues. Don't use that as a reason to leave because you're running from something. Um, if this is in fact your desire to start new, if it is your desire to start fresh, start over, blaze new trails, pursue opportunities, if you have an opportunity that you can grow from, how did that happen? If you have an opportunity that you can grow from, then by all means, I encourage you to seek those opportunities. If there is a better opportunity for your children, I encourage you seek those opportunities for your children. Is it selfish of you to think about yourself? Absolutely not. It's not selfish at all. There's a reason why they tell you when you are on an airplane, there's a reason why they tell you to put your mask on first before you put on somebody else's mask, before you help somebody else. That's not selfish, it's self care. Sometimes we need to be selfish. Sometimes I need to think about me before I think about you. Because if I'm doing everything that I can do to get you to a healthy place or a well place, but I'm not in a healthy place or I'm not in a well place, then I'm not going to be any good for either of us. If I'm trying to help you put your mask on, and in the process of me helping you put your mask on, I pass out, guess what? We both meet our demise. So the best thing for me to do sometimes is to be selfish. Sometimes the best thing for me to do is just fall back and let me think about this situation for myself first. How can I be the best me so that I can be the best for somebody else? But I think when we get into the whole process of, well, I don't want to make a move because I don't want to disappoint these people, but then that also creates a space of bitterness. That also creates a space of your own frustration. And then you start to dislike the people that you stayed for. If I don't pursue an opportunity that I have because I'm staying because it's what's best for you, then if you're not looking out for me or if you're not considering me while I am considering you, then I can very easily become bitter. I could very easily become frustrated. And then I can start lashing out on you because I'm going to feel like it's your fault that I missed out on an opportunity. So the other thing you mentioned in your letter is that you are the only reliable offspring or you're the only reliable sibling. And what I would advise or express, I don't want to say advice because I don't like to think I give advice. But what I would like to express in that regard is you need to have a conversation with the other siblings and you need to say, hey, this is our mama and daddy, not my mama and daddy. Or these are our parents and not just my parents. Um, Sometimes, and I understand as a caregiver, it gets hard because you do feel like at times you have to put your life on hold to be there for somebody else, and it becomes overwhelming because what it feels like, and this is me being very transparent, what it feels like is the other parties have gone on and they are living their lives and they are doing everything they can do, living footloose, fancy free, and they have dumped everything in your lap and they've left everything for you to do all by yourself. And yes, that can be frustrating. And yes, that can make you angry. And yes, that can be heartbreaking at times. How do you deal with it? You accept that this is a temporary reality. Um, the way you deal with it is you find the joy in spending time with the parent. And you don't look at it as a job or you don't look at it as a chore or a task or a major responsibility. You look at it as I get to spend this time with you. And I understand that spending time is precious. And so I make the most of those moments. Okay. But that does not let the siblings off the hook. That does not allow the siblings to not bear a burden of the responsibility. And I'm going to take a sidebar here. The other thing that I would encourage you to do is talk to the siblings to say, "Hey, you want to be able to spend as much time as you can with mom and or dad right now because in the event that they slip away, you can always tell if you pay attention at a funeral. You can always tell the ones who more times than not trying to use my words carefully. You can always tell when someone didn't really do what they should have done by mom and or dad because they are normally the ones, and I'm not saying this is the case every time, but more times than not, they are the ones that make the most noise at the funeral because what they're experiencing is not grief, they're experiencing guilt. The ones who, because now they're saying, I should have done this while you were here. I should have done that. And although that may not be what they're expressing while they're standing in front of that box, but a lot of times it's, I'm thinking about all the opportunities that I had to call you, all of the opportunities that I had to reach out to you, all the opportunities that I had, and I did not cash in on those opportunities. I did not make the most of those opportunities. I did not maximize those opportunities, and now you're gone, and I will not have that opportunity again. In some cases, it could be where uh mom and or dad and sibling may have had an aggressive conversation, and then mom and or dad slipped away from here. So then the last thing you said to them was the last thing you said to them, and it was not a loving conversation. It was not a peaceful conversation, and now that's what stays with you. I'm getting off topic, but what I'm saying is, talk to the siblings to say, hey, you may want to talk to mom and dad while mom and dad is still here, and spend time with mom and dad while mom and dad are still here. Uh, and again, reiterating the fact that these are our parents, not my parents. Now, if you were an only child, then hey, you just kind of by default the lot falls on you. But if you're not an only child and you have siblings, then and I hope whoever the writer is, you can let the siblings watch this podcast. Tell them to subscribe. Step said it across all social media platforms. Thank you. But you can tell them, and I'll reiterate it. Don't let one person bear the burden of the responsibility of dealing with, or and I don't want to use the word dealing with because that sounds so negative, but having to be the support system for an elderly loved one. Don't do that. Help them, because it's a lot easier. One person can carry 100 pounds, but two people can carry 50 pounds each a lot further and a lot easier. And if it's three people, that's 33.33333 pounds. You can carry it a whole lot easier, a whole lot further. And then what you do is you redistribute the weight when somebody gets tired. So, reeling it all the way back into the initial part of the conversation. And the last thing you said was, how can I continue to be present without physically feeling I have to be present? Or is it even possible? My answer to you is yes, it is possible. And the reason why I can say it's possible, because you can be physically present and still not be there. It happens in relationships often. You can be physically present and not be mentally, emotionally, or psychologically there. And so you're just zombie. You're just going through the motion. You just kind of, yeah, I'm doing this, you know, I'm doing it out of an obligation. And as a parent, and I know, having to do things with my mom, I never do things for my mom out of the feeling of obligation. I do it because I enjoy spending time with my mom. Now, I think the other part of this letter is, first have a conversation with yourself, and then have a conversation with all parties involved. And you're not having a conversation if you make the decision that you are about to leave. If you make the decision that you're about to do something different, it is not for you to get their permission. So you're not having a conversation with them to say, hey, tell me what you think. You're having a conversation with them to say, hey, I'm about to make this move. I am about to do this, and I need you to, excuse me, and I need you to step up. And so if we need to figure out a good system that we can move things around, or even if that means, I need you to help out on the financials as best you can. As much as you are moving on with your life and you are living your life and you are doing the best you can do, the reality is mom and dad are still here, or mom or dad are still here. And so, you know, the burden of responsibility doesn't fall all on me. And so I need your help. And I have this opportunity that is going to completely change my life. I have prayed about it. I have peace with God about it. I have made the necessary arrangements. I'm good. It's a better move for myself. It's a better move for my children. And the same way you all moved, or the same way you all made the adjustment that you made to be better for your life, then I'm having to make those same adjustments to be better for my life. But key word, we are not going to neglect mom and or dad. And so I have done my time. This is not to make it sound like a prison sentence, but it is work. And when that work falls on the shoulders of one person, it gets hard. So I have an opportunity to pursue a career in XYZ state. This is going to be good for me and my children for XYZ reason. And it's time for you to kick in. So we're going to sit down. We're going to put this all on paper. We are going to figure it out. And we're not trying to make it seem contractual, but we are going to put it on paper so we have some form of an agreement that we can track it and we can trace it and we can hold each other accountable and we can hold each other responsible. But we're going to help. And that's the bottom line. So, in the letter you mentioned, are you being selfish for considering your parents versus are you blocking yourself from expanding and growing and possibly reaching your full potential? What I would say to you is you are not going to be the best for your parents if you are not reaching your full potential. You can't give 100% if you're not 100%. If you give all of who you are, but you are only half of what you're supposed to be, then your all was just half. How much more impactful could you be if you were at 100% of yourself? And sometimes getting to that 100% of yourself says, I got to stop thinking about y'all and think about me. We use the term, we say, people are being selfish. We talk about being selfish, but in all honesty, is being selfish always bad? And for those of you who are watching, y'all chime in. Tell me, is it bad to be selfish all the time? Or is it bad? Is it bad to not consider yourself? Self-care is a real thing. I go back to the airplane analogy. If you don't put your mask on first, you can't help nobody else put theirs on. If I'm always feeding you, feeding you, feeding you, feeding you, feeding you, feeding you, and I never stop to eat, guess what? You're not going to get fed if you're relying on me to feed you. Because if I don't eat, then I become malnourished and I can't beat. So now both of us on the sick and shut in list. You got to take care of yourself. And self care is mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally, psychologically, spiritually, and all the other leads. You got to take care of yourself, because if I'm not taking care of me and I'm not in a relationship or a situation where somebody, if I'm always pouring out and I am not in a relationship where somebody is pouring back into me, then when my tank gets empty, I can't help anybody else. The sad reality is people get mad at you for taking care of you when taking care of you takes away from them. I'm going to say that again. People get mad at you for taking care of you when taking care of you takes away from them. Now, you want to talk about selfish? That's selfish. That's the side of selfishness that you don't want. But you have to love yourself enough to understand that by doing what's best for me, it puts me in a position to help anybody else. But if I'm not putting myself in a space where I can take care of me, I can't take care of anybody. So, listener, first of all, thank you for being a podcast listener. If you have an opportunity in another location that is going to be a better situation for you and your immediate family being you and your children, then I say consider it. If it is going to put you in a better financial space, I say consider it. If it is going to put you in a better mental and emotional space, then I say consider it. Now, again, I'm not saying leave for love. Don't leave where you are trying to find a relationship somewhere else. Unless you already got a relationship set up somewhere else and it's a good situation and hey, it can work out, but don't move. Don't move without a solid. I have a very good friend and I don't think she'll be mad. I'm not going to call her name, but I don't think she'll be upset if I explain her situation. This friend was from here in Jackson, and she got connected with a gentleman up north, and they had a wonderful relationship between the north and the south. And he proposed to her, and she told him, "Yes, I will marry you, but I'm not moving until we get married. And if I do move, I'm moving into my own place to do my own thing, and I'm gonna find my own job and do my own work." So so if you have a relationship already in the workings and things are promising to the point where you are willing to make that move, either get married first and then move in after you get married, or make that move, get a 6-month lease on an apartment or a house or something that's yours, so that if it does not work out, you're not left out in the cold. So now, if you have a job opportunity and the job opportunity is it's a viable opportunity, and you have a chance to do better and put yourself in a better financial situation, I say consider it. Educationally, if you are able to get to a school system that is going to be more beneficial for your children, I say consider it. But I say make sure as best you can that your parents are at least taken care of, or there's a process or a system or a support system in place that will make sure that they are taken care of in their older age. But if you have the opportunity, if it's out there, I say consider it. Now, at this point, I'm willing to open up my phone line if anybody wants to chime in. Um, Hold on, let me pull my slide back up so y'all can see the telephone number. Um, hold on. So you can dial in, you can call in at 769-487-6327 if you would like to chime in. If not, it's really okay. Um, doo, doo, doo. So I'm looking at a comment. This comment says, I think it depends. Wait, hold on. Let me get big on the screen again. This comment says, I think it depends on the type of relationship being had. In this parent child relationship, yes. In a significant other marriage, etc. type of relationship, then whatever major care needing to be done on self should be recognized prior to getting locked in. To me, it would be selfish in this manner to now be possibly invested and then decide you've recognized now to work on you and leave the mate hanging. Very valid point. So as this comment is stating, uh before you get involved in a romantic relationship, go on and get yourself together. And if you ain't together, then don't get involved. Now, I could say that the two could happen simultaneously. However, that all depends on the dynamic of the relationship and conversations that should be had. But again, I do agree. If you just completely all jacked up, messed up, and all of that, then before you put yourself out there, get yourself together. So, but again, I would say to my listener, to my podcast listener, again, thank you so much for chiming in. If you have an opportunity to pursue another career, or if you have an opportunity to pursue, something else, hey, I say consider it. Take a look at it and see what those are, see what those possibilities are. So once again, thank you so much for chiming in, tuning in with us on tonight. This is the Step Said It podcast. Oh, hold on. Here I have another comment. This comment says, in my experience, all obligations fell on me because I was there. Once I moved, the only option was for the others to take on some of the responsibility. Absolutely. Completely understand that. Completely get that. And then follow up statement says, I thought they couldn't survive without me, but they are thriving and I am too. So again, sometimes in situations like this, sometimes it's good for all parties involved. I can share this part, and I don't think my mom would be too upset. For a long time, I was living with my mom, and we finally got to a space, and we had the conversation. And I told mom in so many words, I said, me being in the house like this is putting more of a strain on our relationship. And the best thing for me to do is to find my own space. When I found my own space and I found my own location and my piece of the world that I could call my own, it actually helped both of us to thrive. And so sometimes it is best to make a decision for yourself because considering yourself, how do I want to say this? Not considering yourself can create a handicap or a crutch for the others. And once again, for siblings, if they know you're there, it kind of lets them off the hook. And that can be frustrating. So once again, thank you all so much for chiming in. This is the Steph Said It podcast. I am the host, the proprietor, Stephen B. I'm here every Thursday at 8 o'clock Central Time. Thank you all again so much for chiming in. Listen, I do want to encourage you. If you've not already done so, please go and like, follow, and subscribe. We are Step Said It across all social media platforms. We are Step Said It on Facebook, Step Said It on Instagram, Step Said It on YouTube, Step Said It on TikTok, Step Said It on Snapchat, and even on Twitter. Also, please take a moment, go to our website at www.stepsaidit.com. There you will see information about what we do, who we are, and how we do it. Also, please take a moment and consider being a Step Said It partner. We have 3 levels. Level 1 is $5. Level 2 is $25. Level 3 is $225. And with all of those levels, they come with their perks. They come with their advantages. At the end of the day, I just really want to use this as a platform to get the word out, get the name out. And so it's not about making money. I'm not trying to use this to replace my full-time job, but I do need some help taking care of the little things. But guess what? If you decide that you just want to be a listener and not necessarily be a partner, no love lost. I'm going to still be here on every Thursday doing what we do. I do want to, again, thank you all so much for following with me. We have actually made it. This is episode 5. This is our first episode. No, this is the second episode in the month of March, but we have made it to episode 5. And I want to thank you all so much for hanging in here with me. I've been seeing your comments. I've been seeing the conversations. I've been hearing everything that you all have been telling me, and I've been taking it into account. So again, thank you guys so much for being a part of this journey with me. I am Stephen B. I am your podcast host here every Thursday on the Step Said It podcast. I can't say it enough. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments and chiming in. And hey, when people ask you where you get your information from, you know what to tell them. Step Said It. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next week.